I'm Evelyn, and I'm a geoholic.
All the small things. I love this song. First time we've used Blink-182.
I can't believe that.
I did a search and everything through all the episodes. I'm like, surely we've used Blink-182 before.
No?
And have not. So it's nice. Good to get some Blink-182 on the show. And on that note, I want to remind everybody that on Spotify, there's a Geoholics playlist.
There is.
Every song from every episode, all 200, almost 200 episodes.
Almost 200.
On the playlist, chronological order from episode 1 all the way through to tonight, which is episode 198.
Episode 198.
Yes. So on that note, we are going to hit episode 200. Obviously not this year. It'll be the first part of next year.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Like and we're going to do something. You know, we've got a week here, a little week off next week.
Yeah. And I got a couple things up my sleeve.
Do you?
Yeah. Well, some that I'll share with you and some that I won't.
All right. Fair enough.
I'll just put it that way.
I like it. And on that note, friends of the program updates.
Oh, man. Good stuff.
We have pretty much everybody has renewed for next year.
Yeah.
Which is really, really exciting. We greatly appreciate that.
Added a couple
new ones.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a couple other strategic partnerships in the works.
That's correct.
That are pretty exciting as well. There's just some really cool things happening, shaping up for 2024. So can't wait to make those announcements right after the first of the year.
It's going to be an exciting year.
And we do, I mean, I guess technically we have a couple spots available. So if somebody listening was interested in being a friend of the program,
absolutely reach out.
Please do. And you can reach us at info@thegeoholics.com, of course. And then one more reminder.
Okay.
We have a Patreon, which we never promote.
No,
right?
No, not really.
And for as little as like $5 a month, you can be a patron, as they say, of the Geoholics. And with that, for as little as $5 a month,
get a whole bunch of swag.
You all the swag that we have.
Yes.
One or everything. Sometimes two.
Yeah. And
depending on the day.
And we're going on a end of the year clear out sale, dude.
The clearance sale.
We're doing a clearance sale. We want to clear out the old stuff and get some new swag.
New stuff in,
year,
for sure. So other than that, how have you been?
Very good.
We missed you last week. Just FYI.
Yeah, sorry.
Had some technical challenges.
I noticed on the recording, but it's not anything that we can't piece back together.
We're pros. Well, you're a pro. I'm just an idiot.
Noted. I had a little birthday outing that my wife and friends planned that I did not know, so I could not plan for. Then that prevented me from being here. But
we mentioned that.
It was a lot of fun, and it was a good week. And now everything's just been super busy.
End of the year, right?
Not
crazy.
Even normal, and this is like crazy end of the year. Like
wow.
I swear, it was like one hint of the interest rate might drop next year, and it's just construction crazy again. So
that's amazing.
But things are get excited for the holidays.
Cool.
Got the house decorated.
Nice.
Got almost my Christmas shopping done. So what about you?
Christmas decorations. I told Megan that next year we're not even putting up a Christmas tree. I mean, it's a 3-day event. And I'm like, it goes up. It takes 3 days to get this monster up. It looks absolutely beautiful when it's done.
Yeah.
And then like 3 weeks later, it takes 5 minutes to take it all down.
Yeah. And then
it's just such an effort.
7 weeks of vacuuming needles because they never seem to go away.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. I get it.
And she's like, the only way I am not putting up a Christmas tree is if we go away. So I'm like, done.
That's also been a thing. Like some people, and I used to do it with my family for a bit. Like we would just plan a trip. Like instead of going through the whole thing, if we're going to have to travel, let's just plan a trip and go somewhere fun and enjoy it there.
Totally on board.
We've done all different ones. It actually turns, I remember those trips more than I do just generic Christmases, sleeping on the pullout or, whatever it is at the parents' house. So.
Yep. So who knows? Maybe that'll be in the works for next year.
I'm telling you, it has worked out, and it does not diminish the holiday. I can't say that.
Probably enhances it a little bit.
I can't say that.
But I think we're going to have a pretty quiet Christmas, to be honest with you, just because Megan's mom and stepdad both got COVID.
Oh,
My mom's dealing with an infection of some sort. So,
but you're going up north, so
I don't know if we will. It just depends.
I think you have to. It's supposed to snow. You're supposed to get a bunch of snow up there.
I know.
You gotta have the opportunity to get a white Christmas.
Okay. All right. Maybe we will. Okay. Let's move on. Tell us about that opening number.
Well, if you're all any of our ages, it's turned into a classic. Blink 182, All the Small Things. These guys, American, I don't know if you call them rock band. I would say more of like an early rock punk band from Southern California. They came on in the early 90s. The original lineup was guitarist and vocalist Tom DeLonge, bassist and Mark Hoppus, and drummer Scott Rayner. They had a significant impact on the punk rock and pop punk genres, influencing numerous bands with their catchy melodies, humorous lyrics, and energetic performances. They continue to be an influential and enduring presence in the alternative rock scene.
And you know what? I really like the band, and it's one that I've never seen, shockingly.
Yeah, I can't see that's one that I would jump to a show, but every time you know the stuff. It's a good band.
Yeah, for sure. It's not too late. I'm sure they're going to come around, and at some point we'll see them. Definitely. We talked about seeing Tool.
Oh yeah.
That'd be amazing.
I think
in February.
Cool. Yeah.
On that freaking Waste Management Open weekend.
Yeah, that's the same weekend.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be huge. No idea where that thought just came from, but let's move on. We are in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studio this evening. TK, of course, he has re-upped for next year, so we're excited to have TK and Diamondback on board and all the different endeavors that he has under his umbrella. And I saw some really fun pictures. TK is always having parties, right? And every year he has an ugly sweater party. And every year he posts some of the funnest pictures. And I'm like, wow, we got to get invited to that.
Well, we probably are. It's just not here.
Yeah, we got an open invite to everything when it comes to TK, I think. But
of course,
maybe next year, you never know. Maybe we make the pilgrimage to Vegas and go to TK's ugly sweater party. Maybe we show up uninvited.
Worse things could have happened.
Yeah. But looked like a lot of fun. Okay, next up we have the Airworks random trivia. What do you got for us?
Well, I'll give you one wild guess what my trivia topic is today.
Christmas.
Nope. It is December 21st. We don't usually talk about the days because these get released, week and a half later.
Yep.
But the December 21st is the winter solstice.
Oh, dude, you know what's so funny? I was just thinking about that today.
Yes. So, for your, if you believe in this sort of thing, for you geography nerds, it is the shortest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere, opposite in the Southern Hemisphere. So our friends in Australia and New Zealand, this is the summer solstice for them. And it's actually not even a day. There's actually a specific moment. So 8:27 p.m. Phoenix time, here in about 2.5 hours, is the moment where the sun finally gets overhead of the Tropic of Capricorn, in the Northern Hemisphere. And for that moment, that is the moment where it hits, and then it tilts back and goes for the rest of the year. The word solstice comes from Latin, and kind of split between two is sol, meaning the sun, and sistere, meaning stand still, as in the time where the sun stands still. As well as marking the shortest day, the winter solstice marks the first day of winter in the astronomical calendar, while the meteorological calendar says we're already been 3 weeks into winter, that's why everyone's like, this is not the start of winter when it's in December. The day marks the shortest day of the year, but did you know it's almost 9 hours shorter than the longest day of the year? The summer solstice in June is just short of 16 hours, 38 minutes long, while the day in the winter solstice is 7 hours and 50 minutes.
No kidding.
Couple of things that have also happened on the winter solstice. The Pilgrims arrived in modern-day Plymouth, Massachusetts on December 21st, 1620. In the same day in 1898, Pierre and Marie Curie discovered radium. And on December 21st, 1968, the Apollo 8 spacecraft launched, becoming the first crewed moon mission. Also, if you believe that sort of thing.
Why are you looking at
me? No comment.
That's a topic for a whole nother episode. So 1620, that was the Pilgrims?
That's the Pilgrims.
So if you, I don't know if you believe in reincarnation, but if you do, and you were living during that time period, what do you think you would have been?
What do you mean? What would I have been?
Like in the Pilgrim order of hierarchy, what would you have been?
Here's another fun fact, and I'll bring this up because I was about to say I would be one of those like lords, or like I would just. I don't know. I feel like I could dominate people in the 1620s. But way back in the day, I think it was in the Romans. I read this when I was doing research that the winter solstice way back in the day was like opposite day. And back in Roman times, it was the one day where the slaves could talk shit to the masters for that one day. It was like opposite land.
Oh my God,
and that's
awesome.
where they wore masks and they could be someone else for that one day.
Kind of like the Purge.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Good stuff. Appreciate that. All right, next up we have the Advanced Geodetic Surveys, also known as AGS, Weekly Words of Wisdom. I got a good one here. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work.
Okay.
And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it.
Okay.
Steve Jobs.
Really?
Yep. Good old Steve Jobs. Wonder what he's up to these days. Do you know? Is he dead?
Yes. The worst.
So he's not up to much.
No,
he's resting peacefully.
He is not up to much. He is resting peacefully.
Shawn, I'm really excited about this one.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. Dimensional Geomatics is the latest friend of the program. Russell White and his team, with decades of experience in dimensional control, metrology, laser scanning, and drone operations. Dimensional Geomatics brings together a history of exceptional project execution.
They really do. From a single technician to multiple crews in different locations, they field highly trained, quality, and safety-focused personnel for their projects.
Keyword there is safety.
Absolutely.
And qualified personnel. Whether it's laser scanning, onshore or offshore, refinery or forensics, Dimensional Geomatics has the equipment, people, knowledge, and contacts to fully tailor a solution to meet your needs.
Yeah, with over 20 years experience and 24/7 global support, they are just a phone call away.
In addition, with accurate and up-to-date LiDAR from 1 square acre to 1,000 square miles, they can provide you with the deliverables you need.
No job is too big or too small. To find out more, go to dimensional-geomatics.com.
All right. On that note, let's get our guest in here.
Please.
Sponsored and presented, of course, by XYHT Magazine. If you haven't got your free digital subscription to XYHT Magazine, take 30 seconds to do it.
Yep.
XYHT.com/subscribe, I believe is that website.
Yeah.
And it literally takes under a minute, and very, very, very much so well worth that minute. So check it out. We have Shawn Asher with Allen and Company with us this evening. Right. A little bit about Shawn before we loop him in here. Born and raised in rural Maryland, currently lives in Florida, but he said when the area where he grew up, super rural, surrounded by Amish.
Amish, okay.
Yeah, so we'll have to circle back on that a little bit. He was a geospatial intel analyst in the Army. Thank you for your service. And also attended American Military University, where he got his degree in business. He is currently the integration and partnership manager at Allen and Company, and he's passionate about problem solving and spirituality.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Shawn, welcome to Geoholics. Thanks for taking the time to join us this evening.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me, guys.
You betcha. So let's circle back on a couple things.
Well, I want to do this icebreaker.
You're so excited?
Yeah.
You want to do that first?
Yeah, let's do it first.
All right, let's do that first. So we have the Trimble Pro Point icebreaker, like we do every week. So this is my icebreaker. I think it's going to be good. Hopefully you are on the same page here.
Okay.
So thinking about who you are as a person, your personality, your values, blah, blah, blah. If you were going to be a car, what car would you be?
That's tough, man.
It could be an old car, a new car. It can be anything. What do you think, Shawn? What would you be?
Probably a Cadillac Escalade. It's like very
Oh.
comfortable. It's a little flashy. It looks nice. It runs nice, but it's very comfortable and luxurious to sit in.
Oh, I like it. Do you have one?
No, absolutely
No.
not. Yeah, that's the dream one day for sure. I've been dreaming about that for a long time.
Jacked up on like 35s.
Yeah, there you go.
How about you, Shawn? Any ideas?
I would probably be I don't know, like an old Mustang or something, like
classic,
not like a classic,
route?
but not so classic that you like a drivable classic, like one that you would fix up, but not just to take to the car shows because I'm not that pretty, but
gotcha.
But an old school, have a little bit of muscle, but still a daily driver.
So
a daily driver classic.
Best of both worlds, as one might say.
I like to think about that. Yeah. What about you? Minivan?
Minivan fits me perfectly. What would I be? Man, oh man. I think like a Porsche. GT3. Turbo.
A little exotic?
Yeah, a little exotic. Just something you could drive really hard,
Okay.
And still keeps on ticking. I think that'd be me.
Oh, sure. Okay. All right. I do have one quick one. I just want to ask because it came up in the office today and somebody asked it. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
And I'll ask Shawn first. Would you rather be itchy or sticky?
Oh, man. Okay.
Oh, my God.
Probably itchy because I do a lot of customer facing, a lot of handshaking, and I would not want them to walk away with like, what is going on with that dude's hands?
Well, you could say the same thing for sticky, but I like where you're at. Kent, what do you got?
I think
neither is not an option.
I think for me, it is without question sticky.
I'm the same way. Like
because like every little itch I get drives me insane. I'm trying to figure out the reason for it.
Oh no, then I'm the opposite.
And like when my hair gets long, like right now I need a haircut so bad. That's why I'm wearing a hat. Like my head gets itchy, right? So at night it's like I'm scratching my head and then I'm like looking to see if hair's falling out or whatever, It's like, but no, for me it is definitely sticky.
I'm the opposite. I cannot handle being sticky. Like
so
I would rather just itch a little bit than like if like you eat an orange or
itchy though. I'm understanding it like you're constantly itchy.
Yeah, same thing.
It's
like,
constantly.
What if like your hands are just always sticky and you can never not? I don't.
It's a hard one.
It's one of those things.
That's tough.
Anyway,
I just know how much being itchy drives me insane, like to the brink, basically. So for that reason alone, I would go sticky.
All right,
that's a good one though. I like that.
Yeah, I thought so.
We'll have to reuse that one sometime. So Shawn, I grew up in rural Maryland around the Amish. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it was middle of nowhere. I think my high school graduating class was like 120, 130.
Oh, wow.
We had a naval base that opened up probably when I was a young kid, 5 or 6 years old, that it's like a research naval base, Pax River. And, that started to develop the area a lot. But yeah, every day going to school in the spring, the whole school smelled like manure because they're, putting down manure to put in the fresh tobacco or corn, whatever they're growing. And it was the entire school every day in spring smelled like manure. We were called Cow Pie High.
Yep. Cow Pie High.
Yep.
Oh my God, that is awesome. Tell us a little bit about your time in the Army and what your job was there. What's a geospatial intel analyst? That sounds really interesting.
Yeah. So first, there's a little backstory there. My wife and I are middle school sweethearts. We met in middle school. Oh my God,
that's amazing.
Yep, for sure. I remember what I remember what she was wearing the first time I saw her, and it's been a wild ride since then.
Does she still have that outfit by chance?
God, no. I wish. I bring it up and like remember it, and she's like, I cannot believe I wore that. Yeah. So got out of high school, and I spent the first semester in community college, and I was not the smartest of kids, and I spent a 3 weeks in an English class that was Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and it was a 2-hour class, and the first 3 weeks were how to use commas, and I was like, I'm not doing this. This is not for me.
I still don't
So
use them right.
yeah, right, exactly. So my wife at the time, or she was my girlfriend then, but at the time she was like, well, you're not in community college, you're not doing anything with your life, we can't be together. I was like, okay. So I took the ASVAB, went and talked to the Navy, the Air Force, the Army, the Marines. Army had the shortest wait list to get in, and decided to join the Army, qualified for anything in any of the branches. And when I was looking, I was going to be a mortuary affairs specialist. Like that's really, I was really not working with a full box of crayons at the time, guys.
It's
You're gonna have. I'm sorry. We're gonna have to stop for a second. You're
Mortuary
gonna have to go
affairs.
into what exactly is a mortuary affairs specialist?
Somebody
have my
that
ideas, but I'm
prepares
sure
the
they're not
bodies. Yeah, somebody
Oh,
that
okay,
prepares the
okay.
bodies for funerals. They had a
Oh,
signing
wow.
bonus, and it was like 50 grand. And I was like, Dad, it's a 50 grand signing bonus if I do this. He's like, what are you gonna do afterwards, you dummy? And so, went through the list of what was opening, and
Yeah.
what would send me to basic in the next 2 or 3 months, because my wife was like, you got to do something with your life if we're going to be together. So okay,
Yeah.
I'm doing something.
Yeah.
So 35 Golf geospatial intel analyst. He typed it into Google and said, this seems interesting, this seems like you'll have a career, do that. And I was like, okay, signed my name to it.
Huh.
So it's a lot of using satellite imagery, LiDAR, and all the geospatial tools, ArcGIS, shapefiles, polygons, points, lines, raster images, all that to help support intel missions to support our troops abroad.
Wow, that's cool.
Okay.
Yep.
That's cool. So was that your introduction to geospatial in general?
Yeah, for sure. So, everything from creating RAID packets of how does it, what's the terrain slope analysis for a helicopter to land, and, taking human intelligence reports of what the bad guy X's compound looks like, and it's in this city and it's near this thing, and then trying to find that in the actual updated satellite imagery. So a lot of overlap with kind of all the different aspects of the geospatial community.
Mm-hmm. Very, very cool. Got anything else there, Shawn?
No, I'm just thinking about what it's like to start in this industry from the Army instead of
yeah, interesting, right?
It's a different origin story than we're used to.
Sure.
Usually it's I was in college and I was failing out of this, and
I met a guy at a bar.
Met a guy at a bar. He said, "Why don't you try geospatial?" And then how
said I could start tomorrow.
Right. Breathe on this mirror, and then I had a job. So
for
that's
the
pretty
Army,
interesting.
it was no joke in the Army. Our schooling is called AIT. And in AIT, we had the highest attrition rate of any career in the Army, any field in the Army at the time. And it was difficult. Like, you get a satellite image of a Russian motor pool, and it's covered in snow. And you've got to identify how many tanks were made in 1956 versus the tanks that are made in 1957. They're covered in snow. And if you get 2 or 3 numbers wrong, like you're washed out, you're out of there. So yeah, it was very intense schooling. And if you washed out, you went to explosive ordnance disposal, which was pass.
That was your penalty,
right?
Your punishment.
Yeah. Would you rather prep the bodies at the mortuary or
dispose of explosives?
Right.
Oh man! All right, let's get on to some more serious stuff here.
Yeah. So, how did you talk about your transition into the private sector and kind of what you've been doing since then?
Yeah. So once I got out, I spent a little while working in counterterrorism, and that was pretty cool. Working in trying to keep the country safe and map out networks of bad guys. That was a lot of fun, but there's not really a ton of career progression in it. Like,
Mhm.
you can be a really good analyst with a year of experience, and you can be the same level of analyst with 20 years of experience. And,
Oh, wow.
in government
Mhm.
contracts like that, there's only slotting for X number of seats, and it doesn't really matter how good
Sure.
you are. So there was not really a ton of upward movement for me in that, other than like program management, which is really just dollars and cents and numbers and all that. It wasn't really fulfilling. So decided to transition, latched on with a Army Geospatial Center contract that was called Buckeye through Leidos is the company. The program was called Buckeye, and they send LiDAR and photogrammetry capture planes to bases all over the world. And the operation is to help the troops on ground with updated imagery and LiDAR requests for whatever they're doing. We're not read on to the program or the mission at the time. We just know, hey, you need new imagery and LiDAR of this area. Okay, it'll take us a day or two. So really dove in headfirst into the whole LiDAR world for that experience.
So, I mean, I know you can't talk about the specific applications, but I mean, are we talking about like, hey, I need to know if there's a bunch of stuff over that mountain, or hey, I need to know how wide this thing is if I can get a truck through it, or like what exactly are they trying to get out of that request?
Yeah, so it can be that. There were a couple sites and a couple different times where we're flying imagery over the same spot every day just to see if the vehicles have moved, or if there's any nefarious activity. One of the I was sent to Kenya. There's a small special forces base that's there for anything popping up in East Africa, specifically Somalia. And there was the Boni Forest, it's called, and the maps of that forest haven't been updated since like 1870 or something like that, and
Wow.
hand drawn. And it was we're updating that map to stop al-Shabaab terrorists from coming through Somalia into Kenya and poaching elephants. So it's a wide array based off of where you are and where you're deployed, and what they need and how they help to fight bad guys, I guess.
Here's my takeaway from this.
Yeah, your day was not as important as you thought it was
I
compared to
have
what these
lived
guys are
a
doing.
ridiculously boring life.
Yes, exactly.
It's like, damn it, I've wasted so much time.
Yeah,
Could
that's
have done cool shit like that.
I know, right?
Oh man, that's
it was
awesome.
They're
funny
just
in
fighting
Kenya.
over section corners and stuff,
Right,
like a loser.
versus fighting bad guys.
It was funny
All
in
right.
Kenya every day. We had monkeys, baby monkeys, just jumping on the tent. They wake up with sunrise. They're ready to chase bugs. They just start playing and running around and chasing bugs. And the guys would get
Dang.
so pissed because the monkeys are waking up. I'm like, dude, you're never gonna have a monkey alarm clock again. Like,
Right.
soak it in. This is awesome. What are you talking about?
Two of my weaknesses: baby monkeys and baby goats.
Baby goats.
Oh, they're the cutest things. These goats like hop around. Oh, I want one so bad.
I agree with you. I agree with
what?
you, but the people that do goat yoga, I can't get into that.
Oh yeah.
I
I'm
can't
not that
do that.
person.
Yeah, baby goat yoga. I can see that for you, Kent.
Oh Lord. Okay. All right. Let's learn more about Allen and Company. Talk about the company a little bit. Kind of like what the culture's like, what you love about it, and the services you guys provide.
Yep. So Allen and Company, a traditional surveying and mapping company headquartered in Winter Garden, Florida. They've been around since 1988. A lot of the original customers that they had in 1988 are still returning year after year. Do a lot of surveying for home builders, property stakeouts, a lot of taking large chunks of land and making them small chunks of land for resale. So a lot of that type of stuff. We have a SU department for subsurface utility underground exploration.
Yep.
And we also have an advanced technologies department, which is designed to really understand all of the cutting edge technologies in the entire survey field and, really dive into them and master them and figure out which ones are applicable to which departments and how to utilize them to help them do their work faster.
Mm-hmm. Let's focus mostly on the advanced technology group. And one of the things that I noticed, checking out the website and that type thing, I mean, you guys are technology driven, whether it be UAVs, 3D modeling, laser scanning, LiDAR capture, what have you. Talk about those services specifically.
Yeah, so a lot of what we do is to try to save time and money for our customers. There's a lot of traditional ways of doing things, and there's a lot of technology that can help cut costs and save customers money on their project, and as well as just hard cash for the deliverables. There's also the aspect of saving money in terms of turnaround time and them being able to move quicker on their projects. So the advanced technology department's really designed to help do that for all of the branches through the company. I think before I started, years and years and years ago, the company bought a LiDAR unit, and then, that unit fit the one department, but it fit our construction department and the construction department's needs, but it did not fit what the land department was trying to do. So they spun off the technology piece into a separate department and kind of leveraged it and went about it that way.
Yeah. So this is a sidebar question, but you're talking about being able, by utilizing technology, you can do things, faster, that type thing. So from a business perspective, and Shawn probably knows the question I'm going to ask, just because you can do things faster, should you do them cheaper?
So it's a fine line, right? And it depends on kind of where you're at, and it depends on what your customers are expecting and what they're used to. There are areas of the country that it's, there's not a lot of competition and it's not a lot of competing for prices. Somebody needs a survey done, they've got 3 or 4 shops that they can call. Where we are near Orlando in a major metropolitan area, there's probably 50, 60 survey companies that they could call. So it behooves us to try to figure out how to stay competitive. And we found that, segregating the advanced technologies, which is, somewhat of a research and development department and somewhat its own profit center as well, we found that really helps us save costs and time and money against our competition.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a good answer, actually.
Very good answer.
Really good answer.
Sounds like a normal person answer, not in the
normal person answer.
Well, sometimes you get the answer like you kind of get off on of like you live in a bubble that isn't in the real world, that isn't in a space where other people can also access. It's not like you have the patent on this technology. You just bought it and the other guy may not have. So you still have to factor in your competition, and it still has to in the climate that you're doing it.
So you're saying I'm not a normal person?
I think we're on episode 198, and 198 episodes prove that you are not a normal person.
Fair enough. So you mentioned a project that you guys have, I don't know if you're currently working on or you did work on it, that was really interesting. It was called Tucker Ranch. Talk about that project just a little bit.
Tucker Ranch. So when I started, the land department, the surveyors in the land department didn't really have full trust in the technology. And that's so fair, because a lot of the LiDAR technology, especially with the growth in the last 2 or 3 years, has become black box. And surveyors are not black box folk. They want to know what's happening. They want to know the math behind it. They want to know the repeatability and the proof of why things work. So, in Tucker Ranch started out with taking our equipment internal to us and going and scanning a site. Our survey department went from one benchmark, did a leveled run through the entire loop of the parking lot, and then ended at another benchmark and closed that loop at, I want to say, 0.016 feet. 0.016 feet. Yep.
Sure.
So then we set control on top of that, and we went and scanned the site with our particular equipment that we have in-house. And, we're determined to, well, let's, proliferate this information, put it on LinkedIn, and show not just our surveyors, but show surveyors in the rest of the community what these pieces of equipment can do.
Mm-hmm.
From there, we decided to open that up to the rest of the LiDAR vendors that we have connections with through the last 10 years of being in this industry. And the buy-in was absolutely incredible. We had 9 LiDAR manufacturers, hardware manufacturers come out to the site, scan the site with their pieces of equipment, and ended up with 17 individual data sets. We have another 3 in the can right now that we're getting ready to go through and add to the repository. And we have, I think, 4 or 5 more that, the latest and greatest version of the sensor comes out, and they want to scan it with the site so that the information can be out there for the general public to do.
So are you going to prepare like a white paper or something like that to reflect these findings?
Yep. So we do have a white paper for this particular one. A lot of the hardware vendors, from my knowledge, from others in the industry that have been around as long as I have, and some, much longer, there's kind of been nothing done like this where you can compare apples to apples of one sensor to another on the exact same site. For us to have this, done and get buy-in from the manufacturers, we could not declare a winner or loser, because the goal of it was not to disparage anybody. It was just to show the users and potential purchasers of equipment what is out there, what are your options, and what does a data set from that manufacturer look like versus another manufacturer on the exact same site. A lot of, if you're looking to buy a specific sensor, they might send you a data set from the Eiffel Tower. You're like, okay, cool, this is the Eiffel Tower, that's really great data. How does this fit? And then another manufacturer sends you a data set from Seattle, and you're like, how do I compare these two things and figure out which one is the best decision for me?
Sure.
So our goal in this was really to just get apples and apples on the same site, release that information to the general community, and allow them to be able to look at it and make informed decisions about what is best for them. So our white paper is really just kind of, if you're looking to do this type of stuff, these sensors would work. If you're looking to do this type of stuff, these sensors would work. And if you're looking to do this sensors would work for you.
So interesting. I love it. I can't wait to see those results.
But where you can, and I think Shawn's right. Of like, it's a case study. It's a user case.
Sure.
This might work, like he's saying. I immediately go to, don't say the name because we might like them, or we may have that guy on next week, and he's the guy that didn't. That's not necessarily the idea. And I'm guessing there was not a vendor that was not something you could use, where it was just so poor.
Depending on the application,
yep. and no matter what, you got data out of all of it.
Yeah, super cool.
Correct.
Like, so, every sensor isn't the perfect tool for every application, depending on what your client is expecting, what the expected deliverable is, could have a direct effect on which sensor.
Yeah, you're not trying to be the Consumer Reports of LiDAR hardware, and
right,
because I was curious if you were making any friends or enemies through this exercise.
Well, so from our understanding, it's actually helped some of the vendors, move some units and help, put their names out there a little bit better. So I expected positive feedback, but I didn't expect the overwhelming positive feedback from both the vendor side and the user side. I just didn't, I thought it would be cool, and I thought there'd just be a bunch of LiDAR nerds that download it, and maybe it's 100, but I think we're at like, I'd have to look up the statistic again, but I think we're well over 750 downloads now. So
that's amazing.
It's all over the world too.
That's awesome.
We had downloads from Singapore, and it's like, wow, that's incredible.
Yep. Kudos to you guys for doing something like that. I mean, it's something I've always thought about, like taking a project and having a bunch of different, manufacturers come in and doing the same thing and comparing the results. But yeah, I'm really excited to check out those results.
Yeah, absolutely.
So again, focusing on the advanced technology team, you guys are leveraging things like digital twins and AR and VR visualizations. How is that, I guess, enhancing your client experience?
So a lot of clients typically call us and they need a survey, and they need a survey because it's the document that another document says they need, right? The legal county record says you need this survey signed by somebody with the PLS, and so they pay for that, they go do that, and then it's a stamp, and then it either sits in the inbox in their email, and after that it just sits there until their inbox, their Gmail account is full, and then they go delete all the old ones. Some companies will print it out and then it sits in a shelf forever and it just kind of dies. Our biggest thing is, if you are putting in the work to have a survey done, what can we do to create that survey as a living representation that can hold through the life of the project? So, with our land department, somebody buys 4 acres and they're going to build a medical facility, or they're going to build, I think the most recent one was a industrial pharmaceutical. They're making like vitamin C gummies or something. I don't, it could be pot gummies for all I know nowadays, but
Probably.
they bought the land, and they're building some sort of manufacturing facility that needs to fit these certain compliances. So they need a survey. I'm like, okay, you need a survey. Cool. What are you doing after this, right? So then they tell us that it's going to become this manufacturing facility. I'm like, okay, how does your manufacturing facility layout look? How do these things fit into the space? Are you tracking that yet, or is it just kind of like a 2D CAD drawing that somebody give you and it looks like it makes sense? Or are you looking to really understand that a little bit better in an immersive environment? So a lot of those conversations kind of open up organically just from saying like, hey, have you thought about this yet, or have you thought about that yet? One of the biggest things we're trying to focus on for our clients now is, okay, once everything's done, then what do you do? Where's your documentation about where every wire is running from that light switch all the way over there to your panel, to your breaker panel? And do you have any real-time feedback into something that tells you the temperature and the flow of how the air is moving, or how much electricity is going? So a lot of the things we're trying to focus on in the future is, how do you take that survey and all the data that you're already collecting for a survey and turn that into something that continues to provide value instead of sitting on a shelf and dying?
Wow, that's a great answer. And I love it because he mentioned a couple things there, the immersive experience, right? And what you guys are doing is you're constantly building value for your client, and you're able to, as a result, suggest these upsell type applications, right?
Yep.
I love that.
Well, I mean, it's kind of the first time I've heard someone go past a static, even if it's the best, the best technology we have, it's still a static representation of that in that time.
Yep.
And what Shawn is talking about is kind of the next step here of, okay, it's great that it's a digital twin, but it was when that was scanned.
Yeah.
And the next step is you're actually going in real time, and that's the base model, but then it's
right.
Here's some temperature readings and some and some, I guess, electrical read or whatever it might be. And then you're looking at facility maintenance in real time, and
for sure,
when people are going in to see the health of a building, which sounds kind of odd, but it's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
And it kind of combines the best, similar to when we were talking to the Trimble guy about what was it? Was like the real time sensing of like they're just taking constant shots
constantly.
Like incorporating that with. And then what did he say? Like 47 sensors on this one thing that you can just the data that you
100%.
And then that's the next question I have.
That was where I was going. Go for it.
How
do you manage the data?
How do you manage all this?
Yes.
Like, it's one thing to collect 1 billion points and a petabyte or whatever file that you just have to do something with. This is a it constantly adding, you get into whatever is after a petabyte, eventually it just gets like too much, right? Or do you like constantly purge, or how do you manage that?
We are like the company that I work for. We do a ton of this reality capture stuff, and it's a challenge.
And you're not collecting in real time. You're just grabbing it, and then it sits there.
Yeah. I mean, data management is the biggest challenge right now.
Data management is definitely the biggest challenge. We spend a lot of time. My professional motto for myself and what I try to do every day is just be impressed with people's problems before I try to solve them. Before I try to throw out a solution, spend a minute or two and really wrap my head around the complexity and spend time like, oh wow, that's a problem. That's wild. How do we do that? So a lot of the decisions on data management are really driven by the customer for the IoT type of information, how that's housed, how long we store that, and how long that data lives. For the point cloud data, a lot of that is starting to get killed, in my opinion. Reality meshes like Preview 3D, you can turn that LiDAR point cloud and the photogrammetry behind it, that a single point cloud can be 500 gigs, and once it's in the reality mesh, you're compressing it down to something that fits on a floppy disk. Nobody has floppy disks anymore, but we ran out to buy on eBay 2 boxes of floppy disk and put our logo on them to show people like, hey, this data becomes this now, a floppy disk size. So a lot of the compression is done through there, and then a lot of the other decisions are driven by the client.
Yeah. And is everything cloud-based then?
It depends on client specific needs. So, if it's medical records, or if it's a utility, certain utilities do not allow their data to be housed on a cloud. Government doesn't allow their data to be housed on a cloud. So it really depends on the customer specific. And, what we try to pride ourselves in is, understanding their needs at a higher level and really diving in, as opposed to just like signing a contract and doing the simple thing for them. Okay, well, you need this simple thing. Do you need this? Do you need that? Have you thought about this? Let's make sure that we're going the extra mile as best we can for you.
For sure.
Hey, can I talk about Diamondback Land Surveying for a second?
Please do.
By far our favorite friend of the program, their surveying department offers land surveying applications for residential, commercial, and public works projects across the western U.S. Their respected mapping team provides commercial subdivision and plat mapping, easements, and legal document preparation.
DBLS is dedicated to building and maintaining an excellent reputation in the construction and development communities by constantly providing top-notch services for our clients. Trent Keenan and his team of professionals look forward to the opportunity to work with you. To find out more, simply go to diamondbacklandsurveying.com. And while we're on the topic, we might as well talk about Get Kids into Survey.
Yeah, I think we have to. Get Kids into Survey began in 2017 by Elaine Ball with the creation of the first Get Kids into Survey poster that reflected a fun resource for the survey community to share with their children in order to help them understand what their parents did at work. The response from the industry members was so overwhelmingly encouraging that just 2 years later, they have a whole range of survey posters in production, and we have distributed over 60,000 copies globally.
I have a feeling it's even more than that. As the Get Kids into Survey community expands globally through its network of sponsors and brand ambassadors, the project now includes full programs of work for educators, scholarship opportunities, and a ton of resources that will inspire the next generation of surveyors. Education is our passport to the future, as they say. Find out more by simply going to getkidsintosurvey.com. Are you a licensed surveyor, Shawn?
I am not. I just finished my bachelor's degree. It took a lot longer than I thought it would because, I started in going for a degree in counterterrorism and then switched to a degree in GIS. And then I was like, I can't keep switching. I need to just finish my degree. So I ended up with a degree in business.
Awesome.
So I think I'm starting up in 2 or 3 weeks at University of Florida to get the geomatic certificate to become a licensed surveyor.
Very cool. And I'm going to ask you this question, and knowing that, I think I have an idea what your answer is going to be, but maybe not. All this reality capture stuff, right? The scanning, the LiDAR, everything that goes along with it. In your mind, do you think that a licensed surveyor should, or do you think that those technologies, that hardware, that software, does it take a licensed surveyor to oversee that work?
Oh, good question. You know, I've always been the LiDAR guy, and I've always trusted the survey guy or gal to tell me how accurate the data needs to be or what it needs to be, and it's
Yep.
a tandem thing, because if I'm gonna go get my licensure at some point in time, that will happen. But if I'm the smartest survey in the room and I'm doing the LiDAR, that's a problem. Like we're slacking on the survey side for sure if I'm the smartest surveyor in the room. So to me, it's always a tandem thing. I think in 10 years, where this industry is headed, I think the need for a license signature to be present will be more and more prevalent as reality capture grows and as things are done, and not done from a survey perspective. There will be incurred costs to then go back and try to make that a survey accurate data set. So I think in 10 years, it'll be more of a reason to have it done or supervised or signed and sealed by a licensed surveyor.
Yeah, and it kind of depends on the client's requirements. You've mentioned that a number of times. Not everything needs to be survey grade, right? I mean, do you agree with that statement?
I do, but I try to convince people of the value of it every chance we get. We're working with a hockey stadium down here, and talking about what a digital twin would look like for them, and what type of capabilities they would want a digital twin to do. And we can do all those things for sure. We can do the scan, we can do the mesh, we can put that into Unity, Unreal, create iPhone or iPad tablets for whatever type of functionality you need. We can do that. But when you start to do a renovation to that, why wouldn't we set survey control first? Why wouldn't we go through and go? It's an arduous process. It'll add 15-20% to the bottom dollar of this whole project, but it can be. If we do that, then it can do other things for you down the road that we're not even thinking about today. There are projects that we do where we're scanning and creating meshes of objects for simulations. How do you they're creating VR and AR simulations of how do you change the hydraulic fluid of this aircraft, and typically they'd sit there, and a team of modelers would sit there and spend weeks and weeks and weeks on that project, and for us to scan it and turn it into a mesh for them is a day's worth of work, 2 days worth of work. So it's things like that. We don't really need survey control because it's doesn't really matter where it is in the world. But yeah, it just depends on client specifications and what they're looking to do and where they're looking to go with it.
I have thoughts.
Your wheels are spinning over there. It's like there's steam coming out of your ears. What is happening?
I've just been thinking about this a lot because it's a question that we ask a lot and talk to a lot of different people about. And I'm just thinking about the evolution of where this is all going. And okay, so, and Shawn mentioned it where, why not just have it be survey grade? Well, to me, survey grade.
Why wouldn't you? I love that statement. Why wouldn't you?
But to me, that's just it's just geo-referenced, right? That's the whole point, is to be able to tie it into something else. Or, let's take that example of the hockey rink, and you go in there. But what is it going to matter if everything is going to be scanned in digital twins, and you just need a surveyor to be able to match up the two twins? Or is to match up the digital twin data with the sidewalk on the outside of the somehow you need to tie it together. But within that space, I don't see it. And I think where this is going is, it's almost like, think about what you might need with it later, but the technology is going to be where it doesn't take all that effort to tie it together. You come in and say, okay, well, on the Earth, this is the coordinate, and then boop, 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 and then it all just snaps to it, and you move on.
But even from a georeferencing perspective,
But what does
the
it
question
matter?
is like,
It's all-
how accurate does the georeferencing need to be? Does it need to be within a centimeter, or can it be plus or minus 3 feet?
I mean, what you just said is a big difference, and in construction world, a centimeter is nothing. Like,
Yeah.
it's give me a couple tenths, and we'll have to figure it out in between that.
Yeah, it's a good point.
So I'm just I almost want I don't want the surveyors to stay in the antiquated area of, well, no, this is where that rebar is, and that's still there. I want them to start pulling in geo referencing into the same space, and then just do it where you don't have to come in and add 20%. It's all right. Here's the basis. That the football stadium has a digital twin, and the hockey stadium has a digital twin, and it shouldn't take that much to get those guys on the same plane.
I agree.
So does pun intended.
Yeah. So by the way, I purchased your house in the metaverse, and your property lines are off 3 feet.
Why would I care?
You guys bring up an interesting point about matching twin to twin and data aggregation. One of the car manufacturers, I can't say who because it's NDA, but one of them collects their data from their self-driving cars and their LiDAR. And that data is not super accurate, right? Because it's just GPS based, and it's, your Z is way all over the place, right? But through just the sheer number of data points that they have, they've got the most accurate paint lines for anything. Like, even if you have 50 cars that drove the road and the GPS is bad or the data is bad, just through the sheer aggregate, you're going to hit the 95th percentile of confidence of where XY that line is. So relative. I mean, it is a very interesting point that at some point in time, your aggregate data gives you a close enough answer to where things actually are.
Yeah.
I love that comment, because that's exactly where
it's high level
about
stuff
where this
right
is
there.
Where it's going.
Yeah.
And you've got a billion points that hit that same spot, and somehow some old geezer is still going to have to put a tripod down and say, no, sorry.
Yeah.
Let me take 17 hours to show that the Waymo passed this point. Now, granted, it's going to be off, but eventually that starts to narrow down, and the error that's on 95 percentile of a billion points is probably the same error that a drunk 80-year-old surveyor is going to get out in the field.
That was just my point. That was very stereotypical of you to say, Shawn. A drunk surveyor? I've never seen one of those. Oh man! So
present company excluded.
Smart Shawn over here. What's some advice you would give to companies that are considering taking the plunge and spending the money to start to incorporate some of these technologies? I'm sure there's a right way and a wrong way of doing it. What advice could you give?
To me, it starts with people. Invest in your people. It can get really expensive really quickly to try to hire the best people out there and the best brains, and somebody that has all of the experience that you need. That can get really expensive really quickly, because there's not a ton of colleges that are offering classes in how to work with LiDAR, or how to, it's just not a thing. So, taking your people who learn quickly, replacing them inside of your organization so that the work does not decline, and giving them the opportunity to learn the new skills and grow their new skills, in my eyes, is the best ROI that survey companies can have.
Yeah, that's really good advice. So from your perspective, whether it be you or, Alan and company in general, how do you guys stay on top of these emerging technologies?
It's expensive. It's very expensive to do it. I wish I could sugarcoat it and tell you that there's a clear and easy path, but it's really not. A lot of people want a quick and simple solution, and then at some point in time they realize it's not as quick and simple. There's a lot of nuance, there's a lot of complex stuff going on. The time to train and learn how all of the different things, a simple drone, for example, a LiDAR drone, like you can get a one out of the box and it's a press button software, but the press button is analyzing the IMU data, and it's leveraging the satellites in the sky and the GPS, and you can't select a mask angle for what angle the satellites have to be at to be able to get good satellite coverage, and you just import your ground control coordinates, and if you don't have great data and the black box software warps it, it will just warp your data. And then when you try to grid it and create 1 foot contours, you'll have 1 foot contours, but when someone else goes checks and does check shots, or tries to build something on that site, it's not going to work. Like something you're going to get a big red flag really quickly. So it's a long process. There's a lot of patience involved, and there's whatever you think you're going to spend, plan to spend more than that, because it's a process.
Yeah, and then it gets to be it gets to the point where it's like there are already experts in the field doing this. Why not just hire them,
right?
Versus incurring that massive expense to try to do it in house. Yeah, I'm a big believer in working smarter, not harder.
Well, it's like you said, it's not always going to work, and you're not always going to figure it out immediately, and you may buy that thing and it just doesn't.
Yeah, if you don't know what you're doing,
and it doesn't happen, and then you're like, well, shit, do I have enough projects to keep trying to make this actually work, or should I just hire a guy and let him do it a half a dozen times until it really makes business sense that my opportunity cost is so much that I just have to buy it, instead of the thought that, well, if I do it 2 times faster, then I can make twice as much more money with this equipment that I can't afford anyway.
100%. Well said, Shawn. Not so smart, Shawn.
I cannot wait to make my wife watch this. She's gonna hate every minute of it. Right. You're hyping me up so hard here. Like I'm king of the world right now.
Oh man.
So I'm asking. We talked about a lot of things, new technology wise, what you guys are doing, incorporating. I'm sure you have an idea on where this might be going. Like, what are we not doing yet? And just on that same topic, what have you just bought that's going to be obsolete in 5 years, because this is going to be the new wave, and that's what you're really looking forward to?
One thing that I will gladly bash and say that eventually this is going to crash, and I will clip this and I will post it on my LinkedIn in 5-10 years, whenever it happens, is credit-based or token-based cloud processing software. At some point in time, everybody is going to push towards that, and then it's going to hit market saturation. I took Econ 101 and I did okay at it. I got B-, but it was okay.
Oh, so no, that's a solid grade there, Shawn. Don't say yourself.
It was American Military University. Smart, it's okay.
Okay.
So, anyway, it wasn't Harvard. Anyway, so it's going to hit market saturation. Everybody will have to be forced to use that, and people are not going to want to do that. So then companies will start coming along and saying, you don't have to use credit-based processing software. Buy our tech, and you can do it on-prem yourself, and you won't have to accrue these extra costs at every single project. And then that will start to change that trend of everybody doing token or credit-based processing.
Is that similar to how, like, every software you buy now, you don't even buy it, it's just has to be by the user, by the month? Like, everyone's starting to get sick of that, and it's like, okay, I don't need 100 users and 15 grand a month. Just let me buy the thing for $1,000 and get my money out of it. Like, it sounds like a very similar thing where we're going to hit that saturation where people just get sick and tired, and one guy's going to be like, you know what? I'll just throw it out there, and then it'll take it from there. That's actually one of the more interesting answers to that question that we've gotten.
Yep, for sure. Smart, Shawn. So what, like, I guess from, a company perspective, there are a ton of companies out there doing what Allen and Company is doing. What do you think separates you guys from some of the others?
What separates us? I think, I don't even know now. I think I'm up to 8 companies in 10 years. I'm a millennial, and I'm trying to find the place that I got a 9-month-old son. Like, I'm trying to find the place that work and
Right.
life are a balance, and I'm not, sacrificing time with my son just to be at work every day. Allen and Company treats their employees as human beings with families and things outside of work. That's one of the big ones for me. Another one that we actively try to hire veterans any chance we get.
We appreciate that, by the way, and everything you've done, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't say that enough, but
the veteran community, there's, from my knowledge, there's not surveyors in the armed forces. There might be in some branch. I don't know, but I've never met a surveyor that came just straight from the Army and learned all of these tools and techniques. But a lot of the veterans inherently have a lot of the soft skills that it requires to be a surveyor. You need a long day.
Yep.
They're familiar with that. You need somebody that's going to get the job done. They're familiar with that. Somebody that can communicate at a high level. They're pretty good at that. Understanding, veterans take the time to understand the mission before they go out. And any surveyor knows one of the worst things out there is when the crew doesn't really know what they're doing, and they go get check shots. They're out in the field for a week at the same site. They come back and you've got 70% of what you need, or the 70% of the picture. You're missing some details. So the wanting to understand the mission and how to do it their best, and the attention to fine details are skills that veterans just inherently possess. So we try to hire them any chance we can.
Yeah,
here.
Super cool. That's awesome. What else? You got anything else, Shawn?
I do have to share something, and it's actually, you guys will find this interesting based on our conversation. And this came up in our meeting today, and it was we sent a Christmas card out to our old friend Connor.
Oh yeah, Connor O'Gorman,
COG, and he shot back this email, 10 lessons from 1,000 deals, and it's just 10 basic company lessons.
Sure.
And I'm just going to go through the first 10 because
go for it.
It'll be very, very on point. Number 1, how you do business matters. Build a great culture and attract great people. Giving back pays off. The world never ends. Embrace failures.
Yep.
Innovation wins.
Yep.
Leadership is vital.
Bam.
Alignment of interests.
Yep.
Specialization is critical. And love what you do.
Look at that tie in there. Wow. I love when that happens.
Right?
Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. Man, oh man, I feel like I could talk to Smart Shawn all night long.
He may be a better conversation guy than Dumb Shawn over here, but
no, not dumb, just not so smart. Oh, Shawn. All right. So before we let you get out of here, is there anything else you want to get out there before we let you go?
Just try to bring some peace and love into the world. There's a lot of evil, nastiness, hatred. There's a lot of taking things too seriously and thinking the worst of each other, or your boss or your colleague, and they did something to try to, like, it was intentional. They did this because they know it drives you nuts, and just encourage people to try to ask why they're thinking that.
Yeah, well said.
I mean, did you write that down? Because that was,
of course, I wrote it down.
That was really good.
Yeah, of course. Anything for you, Shawn?
No. It's refreshing to have a millennial on that kind of is pretty like-minded from myself. If I I like everything here. No, I'm good. This is all good
God.
stuff.
He smells his name differently than you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, won't take that again.
Well, Shawn, hey, thanks again for your time. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I'd love to have you come back sometime, to be honest with you. This has been great.
Thank you so much. My ego did not need another boost, but I appreciate it. I'm happy to come back anytime, guys.
That's awesome. All right. And again, thank you for your service as well. All right. Adding value and making friends. That's what we do here at the Geoholics. Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished.
If anyone would like to be a guest on a future show, or you have any ideas for guests or interesting topics, what have you, shoot us an email at info@thegeoholics.com. We'd love to hear from you. Blink 182, all the small things, available everywhere, of course. Until next time, everyone, I got some doozies here.
Yes.
Understand the mission, use the right tool, bring peace and love to the world. Most importantly, be safe and healthy. And happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Jingle bells. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na.